For the land acknowledgement. The Pacifica School District acknowledges that we gather on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Ramaytush Ohlone people. As guests, we humbly extend our gratitude to the Ramaytush Ohlone elders and community.
We recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland, and we affirm their sovereign rights as First Speaker. As the original stewards of this land, the Ramaytush Ohlone understands the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of maintaining harmony with nature. Likewise, Pacifica School District commits to teaching our school community how to be responsible stewards of this land. And now, we'd like to say some things we like about our school. Something we like about IBL is how welcoming it is. Something different about middle school is that it is very big and different compared to elementary school. It's easier to make friends because everyone came to play. I think IBL is different from elementary school because we have different teachers for each class, which I like because it feels like more of a community. Electives are really awesome because there are so many options to choose from. Two things I love about IBL is how the staff is always helpful and how the campus is very open. Some things I like about school is how high-spirited it is, how nice the teachers are, and how some teachers and leaders can keep us safe and during sleeping time.
I like IBL because I like band, and Mr. Geller is a nice teacher as well. I like playing the trumpet. It's a nice instrument.
Sadly, as an 8th grader, my time at Anchor Laceman Middle School will be coming to an end soon, but I'm confident that my 3 years at IBL have adequately prepared me for high school. My time at IBL has helped shape me as a person, and the supportive environment has allowed me to grow into who I am today. I had a great time at IBL. This is my last year and I'll miss IBL so much. My favorite part of IBL is how kind everyone is to each other.
Thank you.
Right. You guys are going to be left with
You want to stay?
Okay. Barbara, would you like to take roll?
I like that.
You did a great job, buddy. Good job. The district reports the audio portion of the meetings. All recordings are kept in the superintendent's office for 30 days and are available during that time period for inspection by members of the public on district equipment without charge. In-person speakers wishing to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items, please complete a request card with your name, address, and the item number and submit it to the board president or the superintendent. You will be called to address the board and may speak up to 3 minutes. Virtual speakers wishing to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items, please submit your first and last name and agenda item you wish to speak on in the Q&A area of the webinar. Please do not submit comments or questions in the Q&A area. You will be called to address the board. Your microphone will be unmuted and you may speak up to 3 minutes. Please note, the public is welcome to provide comment to the board. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes unless extended or limited by vote of the board. A maximum of 20 minutes, unless extended by the board, is allocated for each subject discussed. The Brown Act open meeting regulations under which the board must operate do not allow board members to comment on non-agenda items or information you may bring up that are not on the agenda. Additionally, no action can be taken. However, the board may give direction to staff following a comment. And number 6, approval of the agenda. Are there any questions regarding the agenda or consent agenda? Yeah. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Barbara?
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes. Please go.
And I think it was a typo there, that was just for the agenda, the consent agenda is now separated out, and I made a typographical error, so I don't know if you need to redo that motion or not.
You want to redo it or you don't?
I think you need
Oh.
it's just the agenda of this meeting, the consent agenda is later,
You need a motion for the actual,
just the agenda of the meeting.
the agenda. I'll make a motion for the agenda to stay as is.
Thank you.
And now
And now the vote?
All in favor, raise your hand, motion passes 3-0.
Okay. And, reporting out, the board met in closed session to discuss the closed session items. A, public employee performance evaluation of the superintendent. No action was taken. And number 8, approval of the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion, which is not debatable, and which requires a unanimous vote for passage. If any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests, any item shall be removed from the section and placed in the regular order of business following approval of the consent agenda. Are there any questions regarding the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand, motion passes 3-0.
And A, the minutes of August 23, 2023 regular meeting. Oh, those are all the consent agenda. I'm sorry. Superintendent special recognition.
Good evening, everyone. This is always a pleasure in terms of honoring individuals who are part of our family and also those who give selflessly to our students and to our staff members. Today, we'd like to honor a group of individuals who have consistently served and supported one of our great schools. And I'd like to have someone come up and join me, and that is going to be Principal Alderson, please. And so this evening, we are going to recognize a group of individuals who have served the community of Ingrid B. Lacey, who have always selflessly given of their time. They make sure that they are supported well when it comes to supplemental materials that they may need in the classroom. It's their time. They are always there without complaint. They're even there sometimes knowing what is needed before it has been expressed. And to have that type of support as a school, as a district, as students, and as a school leader is invaluable. And so without further ado, I would like those of you who are part of the PTO to please come forward.
Well, this is Michelle Gray. She was our president last year, and she wears so many hats. So.
And so, Michelle, we know that you have done so much for our Pacifica School District community. I know that personally. And I know that you keep us on our toes, and I thank you for that. And I thank you personally for your recommendations, and then also for just your willingness to listen and to be heard. And so for that, I, with distinct honor, present to you the certificate of appreciation awarded to Ingrid B. Lacey Parent Teacher Association organization. Thank you for your service and commitment to our students and staff, awarded this 13th day of September 2023. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I'll do it on behalf of Maria and our fabulous board that we have.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you.
All right. Oh, did you read this one?
Different meeting.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, so moving on to communications. Speakers wishing to address the board on agenda items or non-agenda items, please submit your first and last name and agenda item you wish to speak on in the Q&A area of the webinar. Do not submit comments or questions in the Q&A area. You will be called to address the board. Your microphone will be unmuted and you will speak for up to 3 minutes. After you have spoken, your microphone will be muted. Please note the public is welcome to provide comment to the board. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes unless extended or limited by vote of the board. A maximum of 20 minutes unless extended by the board is allocated for each subject discussed. The Brown Act open meeting regulations under which the board must operate do not allow board members to comment on non-agenda items or information you may bring up that are not on the agenda. Additionally, no action can be taken. However, the board may give direction to staff following a comment. And number A is LSEA.
Good evening. LSEA continues to work hard to support our members so they can support the students of Pacifica. Since the last board meeting, we held our first union meeting, met with the superintendent, had our first negotiations meeting of the school year, and of course, sent some emails. Thank you to Trustee Villalobos for attending our union meeting last week. It was a long one, yet it was informative. Our next meeting date is scheduled for September 28th, and this will be our PSD Back to School Social jointly hosted by CSEA. You're all invited, and we hope to see you there. Our next meeting with members is October 19th. As always, trustees, please join us. You are more than welcome. Our negotiations meeting today was as expected. We regrouped as 2 teams, identifying where we left off. We set the stage for the remainder of negotiations for the 23-24 Sunshine proposal, and we calendared dates for the remainder of the year. Josie also went through the unaudited actuals. We are hopeful the board will give direction to the district team in a timely manner so we can come to an agreement on compensation before the end of November. 2 weeks ago, the board had a work study session to discuss potential bond and parcel tax feasibility. LSEA sent an email to Board President Brocchini and Superintendent Williams expressing frustration at the lack of notice about the meeting and the time of day of this meeting, which was to be held Wednesday, August 30th at 2 p.m. During our work days, which meant LSEA was unable to send a representative. Little information is gleaned from the minutes, except only 3 board members were present and another one was 45 minutes late to the meeting. Apparently, this was not a good time for such an important meeting for anyone. As usual, the email did not get a response, and again, LSEA members did not feel heard. LSEA is eager to hear from the district about any updates on this important item. Tonight, LSEA Bargaining Team Chair Rachel Merlot will present our initial Sunshine proposal for the 2024-2025 school year successor contract. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nicole Sayers, and I am the president of CSEA Chapter 128. The CSEA Above and Beyond recipient for September 2023 is Maralupe Alikad Fadi. Maralupe is one of our district's paraprofessionals and van drivers. She has also worked as a classified substitute in many positions throughout the district. She is a very dedicated employee and works very hard to serve our district. Chapter 128 is proud of all of our Above and Beyond award recipients. We appreciate how hard you work and all that you do. So today, I was working at a school, and the school assistant told me that they had given notice and would only be around for another couple of weeks. I've known this CSEA member for 2 years because that's how long they have worked at this district. The reason this individual is leaving is because here in this district, they're not offered a living wage or enough hours to make ends meet. This person is going to a neighboring district And interestingly enough, their job title will still be school assistant. The neighboring district realized quickly how lucky they were to have such a talented person interested in working for them. They realized that this person is going to be a reliable, hardworking, and trusted employee, just as they were here. The neighboring district was so happy to get this person that although they are offering a full-time position at $22 to $26 an hour, they offered this employee more than $26, which equates to more than $10 that she was making here to work for them. I personally will miss this school assistant because they are wonderful to work with, as well as being a proud member of CSEA. So once again, my loss, our loss, and that is a neighboring district's win. I also wanted to just mention that CSEA members support each other, and it's going to be a little code, I guess I'm going to say. If sometime in the future, at some point, there comes about possibly an IT change somewhere along the line, I just want you to know that CSEA is 100% behind that thing. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. People wishing to address the board?
Yeah, one.
Hi, it looks like I've been unmuted. Good evening, everyone. My name is Linda Benares, and I serve as parent chair of Pacifica School District's Special Education Parent Advisory Committee, which is CPAC. I'm here to simply thank you this evening, board members, employees, and families, for your collaboration and the meaningful work that is underway to support families in special education in our community. CPAC's mission is to support families in special education in the Pacifica School District through collaboration, networking, and education in order to optimize outcomes for students. Our committee is comprised of parent representatives from all school sites, administrators, and members of the Board of Trustees. We host regular parent and caregiver socials, parent education sessions, and other events with a focus on special education. We also strive to be involved at our local school sites in order to be part of supporting all students. In this position, I have the privilege of getting to know many families with children in special education and hearing about both challenges and their children's triumphs. I do my best to point them in the right direction when they need help so that they can connect with the right people in our district regarding their questions and needs. It's at these junctures that I so appreciate at all levels in PSD, from case manager to superintendent, from school site to the district level, that there are open pathways for communication. Families' voices are being heard, and there is a deep-seated commitment to open dialogue and mutual understanding and growth. Our Director of Special Education, John Bartfield, once commented at our Parent Caregiver Social, "The work can be hard, but we find solutions when we work together." With this kind of mindset, approach, and commitment to continuing to partner together, I am excited for this year ahead. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Board superintendent, or I'm sorry, correspondence?
There's a card.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Patrick. Patrick Sayers from Pacifica School Volunteers.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the school board and also Dr. Williams for that really nice recognition award that we got at the last meeting for our Think Bridge summer camp. It was really unexpected, but we really appreciate it, and it really got everybody all worked up at Pacifica School Volunteers and our volunteers and even some campers. So we really appreciate that and that recognition too. As long as I'm up here, I just want to send a message out to the board members that we have a serious need for volunteers. And in particular, we have 2 children in our school district who need kind of a specific volunteer, and that is a volunteer who speaks Mandarin and then a volunteer that can speak Russian. And there's some elementary school children that are going through our school system and they don't know English. And just having a volunteer that can speak their language as little as an hour a week or even more that they can dedicate and kind of be there every week would be really, really important. So I know you're all pretty well networked, and I'm like to put that word out to not only the board, but the members here, anybody who's watching. It really is hard for a young student not to be able to speak English and because they're not getting their classes, they're not necessarily understanding. And when you get a volunteer who speaks their language, it opens up a whole area where they feel like they're being appreciated, that they can start appreciating their education, they can understand what's going on in the classroom. And so if you have any information or any other questions, you can go to our website at pacificaschoolvolunteers.org, or if you want to email, you can go to psv@pacificasd.org. Again, it's psv@pacificasd.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. We have some information items. A, Laguna Salada Education Association, LSEA. Sunshine proposal. Rachel Merlot.
Are we gonna do correspondence or?
Oh,
Super.
I am so sorry. I'm just
You don't
like
need to.
skipping ahead. Sorry. Could we do the board superintendent correspondence, communications?
Yeah, I don't have any correspondence. I did attend the board work study workshop, so that's all for me.
Okay, I was also at the board work study, the workshop. I met at the IBL fields to walk the fields with Michelle Gray and visit our gophers and our water types and so forth, and checked out it's in need of help. And I've attended 2 of the Ortega Field meetings regarding the AstroTurf that's going in there and the lines for the different community sports that are going to be using it. Went to the Lumar Center's back to school morning. They have it in the morning when the parents are dropping off. And that was very well attended, probably the most well attended that I've seen over the years of the parents and everyone there. The Valamar back to school night. Let's see, also went, met with Dr. Williams a couple of times and went to the community coffee with Assembly Member Mark Berman. It was on Saturday.
I attended the special meeting about the bond. I met with Josie about the revision of the rates for fields. Met with the superintendent. I attended the Ortega back to school night. I actually tried something new this time and put a table. Somebody said, oh, do it right inside the door. I shouldn't have done that because then everybody was backed up. But I just brought some items with me that parents might like to see, like Dr. Williams' entry plan, the school budget, and some other things, what we're doing with the bond in my card. And it seemed to go pretty well. So I'll probably do that again when I visit a site. I went to LSEA's meeting. And that's about it.
I continue to go out in the community, visit schools, of course, the back to school nights. I will continue. We have one more left at Ocean Shore tomorrow evening. Also meeting with not only staff, but continuing to meet with community members and also with our labor partners. Getting a better understanding of what our needs are, continuing to meet and support our principals, and also continuing to interface with our children. Matter of fact, tomorrow I have a recess play date that I'm looking forward to. So all is well.
Okay, now we're to the information, Ms. Merlot, for the Sunshine proposal.
Hi, I'm Rachel Merlot. I am the current bargaining chair for the Laguna Salada Education Association. This evening, we're sunshining for the 24-25 contract negotiations year. Our team includes myself, Rachel Merlot, year 15 from Ingrid B. Lacey Middle School, Natasha Glasgow, year 17 from Ocean Shore, Gina Arguello, year 19 from Ortega Elementary School, Megan Ellsburn, year 22 from Cabrillo and Union President, and our newest member, Morgan Mooney, year 3 from Sunset Ridge. We appreciate the continual commitment to the IBB process for the negotiations with the district and look forward to another year of working together to reach a fair contract that meets the needs of all of our members. Pursuant to Government Code Section 3547, Laguna Salada Education Association hereby sunshines or submits the following initial proposal to the Board of Trustees for public hearing and adoption regarding 2024-2025 contract negotiations. Pursuant to Section 1.4 of the current negotiated agreement, such agreement shall continue in effect year by year until a new contract is negotiated. The following articles are open each year. Article 7, calendar. Article 9, compensation. And each year, LSEA may open 3 other articles for negotiation. This year, the following articles are of interest to the Laguna Salada Education Association. Article 8, hours. Article 11, class size. And Article 15, safety. Thank you so much.
Just for clarification, I have a question for the safety.
Yes.
What would be included in your safety cost? I mean, I just want to know like what part of safety. Is that okay to ask? I'm sorry.
We can't talk.
I am so sorry again.
Yeah.
I just. All right. So we're moving on to B, teaching and learning, supporting high achieving students board presentation, and the speaker is Will Luce.
All right. So we're gonna have a little technical difficulty back here, so John will be my slide person. Changes. So the purpose of this presentation is to provide information. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I can't see. All right, okay, I can see that. Okay. The purpose of this presentation is to provide information to you around supporting high achievement. Go on the second slide. Next slide. Okay, some of the objectives is that we want to share our district focus, which is ACE, and I'll get to that. Define high performing and utilize the Bloom's taxonomy revised to see the relationship between higher level thinking skills and the core content standards, and motivating and engaging for high achievement, curriculum components that support high achievement, and share examples that of supports for high academic achievement. So this is our district's new guidepost, and each letter of ACE represents one of our posts: attendance, academics, community engagement, and embracing inclusivity and diversity. This particular presentation is really focusing mostly on the academic piece. What is high performing? So this is the definition. Students who demonstrate exceptional achievement as evidenced by not only test scores, top grades, but also a commitment to learning. It's important to note that a student may be high performing in one subject area, but maybe not in another area. On August 14th, we came up with this, and this was our district-wide professional development day. We worked on what is a profile for a Pacifica learner and what is the profile for Pacifica adult that supports the Pacifica learner. This is what we came up with. I want to highlight two words there under the Pacifica profile, which is creativity, and critical thinkers as it relates to Pacifica learner. When we look at what our learning objectives are for all of our students, we look at Bloom's taxonomy revised. The knowledge dimension, which is going down the side there, the knowledge dimensions moves from the concrete to the abstract, while the cognitive process dimension moves from lower order thinking skills to higher order thinking skills. Placing a particular standard or standards based on one of the knowledge dimensions and moving it along the continuum of the cognitive process is allowing students to be exposed to increasingly cognitive, complex order thinking skills. So this is kind of the way we get to those high achievement and high performance is when we take a standard and we move it along that continuum. Thinking of learning objectives and planning learning experiences that allow for higher level thinking skills really takes the ceiling off the learning. You can go to the next slide. Motivation and engagement are crucial, specifically providing differentiated instruction and providing both breadth of knowledge, but also allowing for depth of study. Thank you. On my right slide. Yeah. There is a belief that standards are already at such a high level that no differentiated is needed for high achieving or high achievement. But in order to reach deep understanding, it requires deliberate, strategic practices. And this particular quote came from our very own Bridges Math program. One of the authors of Bridges Math program actually wrote that. Next slide, thank you. Okay, so within our adopted curriculum, Math Bridges, many of the sessions have embedded challenges within them that address highly capable or high achievement. And then the challenge opportunities, problems within those, there are challenge opportunity problems within problems and investigations, workplaces, student book pages, daily practice, and home connections and number corners. So pretty much all of the components within Math Bridges has challenge opportunities embedded within it. And then within our CPM, which is our middle school math program, CPM is designed for the more advanced or the more high achievement students. In fact, many of the teachers that teach the CPM program, they're supplementing for the students that are maybe struggling within that concept area. They supplement to them instead of what might be normally is supplementing above, or adding to a curriculum. And then there's core content problems within CPM are always partnered with problems that are both extend the learning or provide more of a deeper understanding of the content standard. And then our TCRWP, which is our Teachers College Reading and Writing Project, the workshop model approach really lends well to high achievement. And we were supposed to have two PSD teachers present some artifacts around high achievement, but one of them was unable to be here tonight. So we do still have the one, and thank you for coming. Gina, you might want to come up there. She has a slide. Yeah, there was a slide that was added, and I think it was after the you know what I'll do is I'll share it with you. I'll share the slide deck with you right now.
And as we prepare for our transition, what we also want to make sure that we underscore is that when we speak of students who are high achieving, it's not just one particular group of students. You can be a high achieving student as long as you have the habits of mind that you're attending to a lesson that you're growing in terms of your skill along the continuum that we'll just share. Also, that means I can be an EL learner and a high performer. I can be a student who is eligible for special services and all special education services and be a high achiever. So I just want to make that very clear that we're not speaking of one specific group. We're really talking about our actions within a group, the habits of mind, and the dispositions that students come with to the learning process. So I just wanted to underscore that high achievement could be any one of our students. It's just not relegated to students who have high grades or high marks.
Thank you, thank you.
And thank you for pointing that out. I meant to add that to it because this presentation was more around high achievement, not high achievers. So there's a difference between this presentation was talking about where high achievement comes from. And that Bloom's taxonomy revised really spells that out. It's depending on where you take the standard and how far along that continuum you can take that. And different students can go to different places, no matter what student group or place they have. So is that fine? Yeah. Thank you, Gina. Do you want to stand up with you guys?
Sure, yeah, back up. So this really could be an entire semester worth of information. So this is kind of just a highlight and some of the key points when Will came to talk to me about high achievers. Our conversation led me to think of those students that need that, it would be easy to lose them if we don't push them. So that's why I say to replace and extend, not just give them more, because you don't want to be that kid sitting there like, well, I just did this and now I have to do more. So how do you adjust it? Well, in math, you're right, Bridges does adapt it a lot, but there are still more things you can do. Like we have workplace games. Let's replace those numbers and make them a little more interesting for you. You already know how to do these smaller digits. Let's do the bigger digits. Or I've even had students come up with their own workplace. Like, let's make one for the class. What do you think? In written work, okay, I know you can do more than the bare minimum. I'm going to push you for more complex sentences and thoughts in written work. In every area, if a student is already showing that they can do a certain thing, then I'm going to push them to look for opportunities to go beyond the bare minimum. And even, do they have an idea of where they could go with this that I didn't present? Let's do that. Let's make it more interesting. A lot of these are just good teaching practices to encourage engagement, and they help with classroom management because an intrigued kid is going to stay focused. Fun things I like to do, provide opportunities for puzzle solving of various kinds, get those minds thinking, and kind of keeps them on their toes too, because I don't ever know what I'm going to hand them. Keeps them intrigued. This one I like a lot. Look for opportunities to let the student be a leader. And one of the things that I've done in my class, if a student shows that they are interested in it, is I'll let them teach a lesson. So I give them the material beforehand, they look it over, they prepare what they're going to do, and they lead. And the kid, oh my gosh, like the focus on the rest of the class. I wish I had that every day, but they're like so interested because this is one of us up there. And the way their faces light up when they're like, yeah, I'm the teacher. It's a whole other level of excitement. It also is amazing because if you put the kid in the leader position, they become the translator and they're putting what I said into kid language, and it makes a lot more sense to certain kids that way. And the leader themselves will learn the concept deeper. I try to look for the other thing that the students might enjoy or something that they might not have been exposed to, and they might run with it. And this, I don't know, this looks different year to year, student to student. You never know what's going to grab them. But last year I had a bunch of students who wanted to learn crochet, and they took off with it. And it was like, they were coming up with things and their abilities surpassed mine already. Like, they watch out. We've got some crafty kids. We have one of my main red alert, watch out for this, is a fixed mindset. And I speak from experience because those high achievers, if they are afraid to fail because they won't be a high achiever anymore, they're going to limit themselves. So if you limit risking failure, you're going to limit your learning. So if we can harbor a growth mindset and push them to take those risks and try it out, and maybe it doesn't work, but you'll learn from it and go from there. And I highlighted projects. Hold on, I'm not done. Because projects is where kids who, you really want me to shush. It's okay. Projects are really where students who maybe you don't always see them shine, that's where they can shine, especially when you leave it really open-ended. Like you give your parameters and then the rest of it they can do how they'd like. One of my top projects every year is the California project. And the things I get from these kids is amazing. And I mean, every year, I've been doing this same project with minor tweaks for 19 years. And every year I get something new that I've never seen before. And it's like so fun to see. It encourages the creative ideas, allows students to explore something that maybe the project is geared toward California, but within that, they can go toward what they're interested in. I had a serious Harry Potter head last year, and her entire California project was a sorting California, like a sorting hat for California. Which house would California fit into? And she fit everything into that theme. I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And we talk a lot in my class about, because kids get stuck on what being smart and what being smart means. And really, I try to focus on make those connections, like, and speak out, like when you notice something and making connections between the content areas, like that's where you can really show what you know. And like, so much more comes out when you make those connections. So overall, if we've got to set our standards high based on student ability and push them, because there's no one size fits all. I can't give you exactly what to do because it's going to change every year.
I also like to point out that Gina's class in particular has those two main things, the motivation and the challenge. A lot of our students in our classrooms are pushed to put effort. And that's kind of a key to really promoting this high achievement piece. And I mean, I do have to commend her. Her students are engaged. I mean, even outside of the classroom, they're walking by to go to lunch and all of them are engaged with her. And so it's that interest, engagement, and that challenge that's constant in that classroom. It really shows respect for the students. The students feel respected when they have that piece. So did want to point that out. Do you have any questions about the?
I just love all that. It just reminded me that one of my sons, this is when we were still doing mission projects. My mom still has his mission project in her kitchen, like how there's a space up on top where you can put plants and stuff. Yeah. It's sitting right there, and it's 14 years old. And so just your point about making a project that's interesting for a student, that's new to the school, which he was at the time, and going through a rough time. And so there it is. He still has it in my mom's house. And then also the point about engaging the students and helping you. I have a nephew who is one of those students who will just sit there. He was in kindergarten. He's in first grade now, but just sit there like this. And he was an excellent math student. And so the teacher brought him in to go help the other kids who were having challenges. And he loved it. So instead of him just sitting there stagnant, twiddling his thumbs, not being challenged, he was challenged. And so those are the things that I love.
I'd also like to just commend you and also thank you for reminding us that struggle is necessary. It's part of the learning process. And it doesn't mean that a student is going to fail, but in the process, it's important what you shared with us that we allow them to experience resilience so that they go back at it and they continue within the learning. So thank you for reminding us of its importance.
Absolutely.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're moving on to C. Student Achievement 2023 CASP and 2022-23 iReady information. And Will?
Yes. You able to get that up, John? I promise the one that's up there is the latest.
Yeah, I can get it up there.
All right, so this has pretty much been almost an annual report that's done, I think, 2 times a year, definitely. I think there's a mid-year report too. There might be 3 times a year where we look at student achievement data, and we've focused in the past on CASP. This time, we're looking at CASP as it relates to the but also as it relates to the 2022-23 spring iReady scores. I can tell you what the objectives of this. Thank you. So go to the second slide. Thank you. So the objectives of this are around, again, I'm going to introduce ACE. That's always where we come back to. That's our guidepost for this year. And then I'm going to share some actions that we took in 22-23 last year that impacted student achievement, share some preliminary CASP results, and then share new and continuing actions. And in fact, we're going to be sharing CASP and iReady. So again, this is ACE. And again, this particular presentation is really focusing mostly on the academic or what we refer to as the second A in ACE. So actions to improve student achievement in 22-23. We provided a lot of professional development and facilitation around analyzing academic data, iReady, and monitoring student academic progress. We did that through our not only our general overall PDs or district-wide PDs, but we also had some site PDs, and those site PDs were directly connected to data and were data-driven, really, in those. And the great parts of those, the great part of that professional development is that they were very small groups, and we had facilitators from iReady really working with small groups of students, a grade level at a Pacific school for 90 minutes, and then and being able to do that for all of our teachers. So that was really good. And then we did allow time for collaboration with teachers to really develop and sometimes change some first instructional practices. And that, again, was based off that data dive or those that look at our iReady data. And then we provided additional collaboration time to make data-driven targeted interventions for both ELA and math, mostly really focused on our low-performing students. But we did do some collaboration around our students that were performing at grade level or above through our iReady personalized licenses. It is important to note that both of these sets of data sets are snapshots, right? They're not, the teachers are taking this data or looking at this data in the context of what they're seeing in the classrooms. It's just helping them drive the conversations around what needs to be done or what needs to be focused on. And that in particular, the 2023 CASP data are preliminary, and they're based on raw data that hasn't been finalized. The CDE, along with the California dashboard, plans to release the finalized CASP data in October. These summary results are likely to stay pretty much the same. So much of what you see as far as if you're looking at whole schools or whole district wide, those numbers and percentages will pretty much stay the same. Sometimes there'll be some fluctuation with their small student groups. There may be some fluctuation in those changes in the data. The overall achievement level scores are all available on the were available in the student file, but we did not have access as of yet. We won't have access till October of the domains or the claims. If we're looking at specific content claims or standards, that wasn't available within this data file. So this first chart you'll see, if you can you move that up a bit or put it in present mode or something? Click.
It's actually all the PDFs.
Yeah, if you click on the three buttons over in the corner and then push go present, yeah, there you go, a little bit better there. Okay, so this is just the overall preliminary CASP results. 53% ELA were at met or exceeded, and in our math, we had about the same 53% met or exceeded in math, and you can see on the bottom there the grade levels. There's the particular ones. If you look at 7th grade and ELA and 3rd grade in the math, they seem to have higher percentage. So, next slide. Just click the down button. Okay. Well, the next slide does show that that in ELA, our 3rd, 7th, and 8th, and in math, our 3rd, 5th, and 8th made improvements. Some more significant than others in the percentages of students that met or exceeded standards. If you can look at 3rd grade went from 47 to 55, and then 3rd grade in math went from 56 to 63. So those were pretty significant changes in the from the previous year. And this one is the improvements per school. So Cabrillo, Ortega, and Valimar improved their percentage from the previous year of students who met or exceeded in ELA, and in math, Cabrillo, Ortega, Sunset Ridge, and Valimar all improved their. Okay, this one looks at is this right? Oh yeah, this looks at student groups, and over here in the corner here are the number of students that were part of this, and the gray bar is looking at 2022, and the blue, or what color would that be? Teal. The teal one is the 2023. And so you can see, like, for instance, the English only, there was a slight improvement, and the economically disadvantaged, there was an improvement from 22 to 23. But this looks at those first 6 groups. If you go to the next slide, it looks at groups 7 through the other student groups that we have data for. And again, if you look at IFEP, which is initial fluent English proficient students, they made a nice big jump from 65 to 72%. And then you had also the RFEPs, which was 62 to 63. And so those were ones that percents that met or exceeded student groups wise. And then we look on the math side. And the math side of those first 6 groups, as you can see, that our English only students, our Black African American students made a slight increase. Our economically disadvantaged, again, in math made an increase, and our Hispanic Latino made an increase. And pretty much most of them either made an increase or stayed pretty much the same from the previous years. And those are our first 6 groups. And the next slide. There is a real significant uptick in our homeless, even though our sample size was small. It jumped from 27% to 40%, and then our initial theft jumped 6%. But again, most of them increased from our previous year. We saw some increases in the percentage of students that met or exceeded standard. So ELA and math on the same slide here. This looks at the schools, and you can see here's our district, that we had saw on the first slide. And then you can see the comparison between 22 and 23 for our other schools there. I do want to note that our Pacifica independent home schools, you might see this is a massive drop, but it was a very small sample size. So, one student or one way or the other would skew those scores pretty much. But, Valimar did some real good improvement in the math there. So. This next one is a really interesting one, and I actually added something to this slide. I added the percentages. This looks at the percent of students who met or exceed CAS standards by their spring iReady scale score. So down this way is their spring iReady level, mid or above grade level, early on grade level, and so on. First. One grade level below, two grade levels and below, and then that's that blue. This is for ELA and teal, and then blue for math. But if you look over here, I figured out the percentage. 88% of the students who met or who were above grade level, 88% of those students met or exceeded standard on the CAS score. So they were given practically the same time. So you're really looking at two data sets that should be pretty consistent. But as you can see, you look at this, the numbers get less and less of those students that met or exceeded. But I thought it was interesting that the ones that were early on grade level for the math, they 68%, which is a pretty high percent, they were at standard on the CASP when compared at the end of the year. So it was interesting that was a big jump there. Usually there's a much more of a gradual, much more of a defined drop as you go down the grade levels or the performance levels. Okay, this one actually relates the preliminary CAS scores to the attendance rate. And to kind of explain this thing is if a student attended 80% or less school, which was 36 number of 36 students, right? 28% of them were met or exceeded standard, 28% of those students. And the note on top there about the 61% of students who attended school at 95% of the year, or attended 95% of the days of the school year, 61% of them were at met or exceeded on the CASP and ELA and math. That tells you something, is that if we had all of our students attending 95% or more, really the minimum level of percentage of students that would have exceeded would be 61%. So it's amazing how much, if we put attention on the attendance of our students, just them attending school, let alone working on instructional practices, but just attending school, if they were attending school, we would have almost a 10% growth in the percentage of students that met or exceeded standards. So in both ELA and math. So I thought that was interesting. So some district trends. I'm not going to read, you can read them yourself here, but the one of the ones that I do want to point out is that, again, what we just saw, that there is a strong correlation between student attendance and CASP performance. And then the students who, which was on the previous slides, the students who scored higher in the spring iReady assessment were more likely to meet or exceed standard on the 23 CASP test. So now and continuing actions. So these are earlier in the presentation talked about what actions were in place in 22-23. These are actions that are either in place or are new for this year. The first three here were ones that we had from 22-23 that were carried over. And then identifying effective classroom strategies or practices that are teachers in 3rd and 8th grade that showed growth from 22 to 23 in both ELA and math. That's a new action that we want to focus on. And conducting regular data dives, that's an initiative that we are going to be doing this year. We're going to be having regular data dives and data conversations, and pairing that with the instructional observations, like connecting our observations of classrooms with our data dives, for the purpose of providing school-wide practices that are effective in seeing positive results, and then developing a plan to improve attendance. That's one of our goalposts, right? Attendance. So we're going to be working with each of the sites, and the sites themselves are going to be working on attendance plans to really try to not only lessen our chronic absenteeism numbers, but also improve our attendance rate to at minimum 95% or more. But we're going to be developing goals and actions to, like, what is this particular school's goal or action plan to improve attendance based on what data we have on that. So, all right, that was a lot of information, and I think I almost made it in time, my time limit. But if you have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer any.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's about the attendance, because we know if they're there, then they're learning. Is there a district that has above average attendance, and do we know what they're doing?
Yeah.
So we can bring some of the practices over here?
Yeah. There are districts that are doing, I mean, statewide, we're struggling with attendance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, a lot of it we could say can be blamed on COVID and distance learning and coming back and the fears and all that piece. But there are some districts that are doing actions. And one of the things, and John maybe even to comment on this, at the end of last year, we worked directly with Sunset Ridge on putting together, finding out root causes, but also developing some strategies and a plan, putting a plan in place that they're executing at the beginning of this year. And many of those strategies and actions were from other districts that were successful in that nature, but had to be uniquely put together for Sunset Ridge and for that community and that population. Because I know that Ellie and that leadership team and those teachers up there were bending over backwards, doing whatever they could to get students into seats, and it just wasn't working. It wasn't fully successful. They were getting small bits of things. So we, in partnership with the San Mateo County Office of Ed, they provided us some support in looking at, like, what are true root causes and moving beyond that. And many of the strategies and many of the practices that they came up with they're implementing right now. So we almost have like a little case study to see if that is helpful, and then to see how we can do that at all the other schools. John, you can comment more on it.
Yeah, if you want to extrapolate out from that process of like looking at the data and really identifying pieces of the data that we want to go in on and make progress on, and then really developing a plan based on goals based on the data. So we will be doing that process with all of our other schools. We'll be looking at data just like we did there, and like Will said, using that kind of process as a nice example.
Yes.
So we're excited.
Yes. My other thing was
I do that all the time. I make people forget their second question because
do you know, like, one of the root causes of Sunset Ridge?
One of the causes that they came up with was, one of them was around COVID. The other one was around that they had the same families that were historically chronically absent, those families still are chronically absent. And then you layer on top of that the ones that were missing because of COVID-related fears or COVID-related pieces. And also the other one, and John, and tell me if I'm wrong, there were the messaging that they were sending out about when your child should come to school and when they shouldn't come to school was not clear, was not specific enough. I know that they put in language about, if you have a cold and a runny nose, like not if you're feeling tired in the morning, like that they had to be specific about their messaging out and how they were communicating it. But they were trying home visits, they were doing all sorts of these other things that just didn't have as big of an impact as they wanted.
Thank you.
Sure.
Does anybody else have questions?
I don't expect you to have the answer to this question, but I'm genuinely curious about the students who tested mid or above grade level on the iReady test, but still did not meet the standards in ELA and in math. I'm just curious what's that about? Is that just the test taking, the type of test taking, or something? It's just weird to me that somebody who's above grade level is not passing this particular test. So I don't expect you to have the answer, but I am curious to see what's going on there.
Yeah, that's it's definitely a curiosity that I share, and I know that the principals share too. In that, once we have those claim scores, and once we are able to go into those strands and see what particular areas are there with that, because we did pair the iReady diagnostic with the iReady personalized learning piece, and they were used kind of sporadic, not as consistently as it, and that might have an effect. But again, I agree with you. I don't have the answer to that, but it's something that we're looking at.
That didn't meet the ELA standards, but they were above grade level, which is that's still a significant amount of students. That I'm just curious what happened there.
And the other part of it, and I don't want to discount this, but as I mentioned at the beginning of this, it's a snapshot.
Yeah.
This is a snapshot. So you don't want to say, on this particular day they weren't feeling good about testing. But they did have, and we did, the feedback we got from the teachers themselves was we need to make sure we're strategic about when these assessments are given, so that there's no what call testing fatigue that might have an effect on them.
Thank you, Will.
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I had a question. It wasn't about the test first, but when we identify the homeless students, those 11 to 15, are we making sure that they're getting services from the resource center, that they're connected with services?
So we're very fortunate to have a person within the district office that really has a passion to support students experiencing without home or something. There's a new way of saying it now. Unhoused. Thank you. Unhoused. Students experience unhoused. And she really not only works with the family to make sure that they have all that they need, but also communicating very clearly to the schools and to the principals, but also to the teachers that have that student in their thing, to put together a plan of support to be able to support them. Yeah, but it is a constant battle. I mean, we had a big rise in our, how do you put it? Students with unhoused. We had a big rise from 2 years ago to last year. Went from almost 13, 14 district wide to over close to 40 homeless. So it's been I can only imagine how challenging that is.
So make sure, because there's so many services at the resource center. Just make sure they're being connected.
Yeah, Nicole knows all about those resources. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Will.
Sure.
And now we're moving on to D, Measure O Bond Project Updates, Information, and CC.
There is a speaker. Does the speaker speak before the item or after? Let us know when you would like them to speak.
Speaker.
Josie, if you can start. Go ahead, if you can introduce that.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Cece Nang, our bond project manager, and tonight she's going to give you a bond update. Thank you, Cece.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cece. So this is update from our last board meeting with the bond update, which is back in April, early this year. So we'll just share with everyone what happened and also upcoming projects after that. Slides.
Coming right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the next slide.
This takes 1 second to.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, so I'll start with the project that has been completed since the last update. So these are the new door intercom system at Sunset Ridge, Ocean Shore, IBL, Valamar, Cabrillo, and Ortega. And you can see those are the photo. One is at Sunset Ridge and one is from IBL. There's this door unit that's there. There is a push button and then there's a close up of what the push button looks like. So once you push the button on the picture up, you can see the person at the door will be able to speak via video with the reception desk. And then they can, from the receiver, they press the button to unlock the door, they'll be buzzed in. Next slide.
Sorry, it's just slow in the beginning.
Maybe you can get out a presentation.
Yeah,
This whole screen is
it's frozen. So can somebody else share?
I wish I could share.
Oh, let me see if I can stop sharing this. I stopped sharing.
All right.
Are you putting it or not?
Can you guys put, I can't get even all of that. You just go to the item and click on the attachment. Sorry, Cece.
Oh, it's all right.
Technical difficulties.
It's technology. Yeah, maybe we'll just, hopefully it won't freeze.
I'm sharing now, so I will
Just
move forward.
Yeah, just slide it down. Yeah, so this is the portable at Valamar School. So they were put in place last winter in order to modernize the D wing. So this summer, the portable has been removed offsite. And that's the projects completed, which is the D wing at Valamar. Right now it's at 95% complete. The D wing's classroom has been enlarged with new window facade, a science-ready classroom, new cabinets, sinks, exterior painting, new roof, upgrade fire alarm system, new furnaces, new storm drain, and new sewer line. Also upgrades, it's done to E-wing, includes science-ready classrooms, sink cabinet, AD upgrades. Computer labs has been repurposed into a classroom with new cabinets and sinks. On both wings and the band room received a new floor, and site work includes restored basketball courts with new basketball poles and goals, ADA parking, ADA ramp to the kindergarten classrooms. Drop-off driveway has been widened to reduce traffic bottleneck. The entire school received new signage. Currently, we're doing the punch list repair and trying to have the contractor finish up. Next slide. Just some pictures. You can see the interior. It's a major kind of remodel / addition. And the picture on the right is the finished D wing. Next slide. And just some, site work, laying the new utility, storm drains and sewer lines. Next slide. And some before and after photo compare. The photo on the left is existing, and then is a before, and the right is after. Next slide. Some more before and after photos for the D wing. So some interior photos. This is a science-ready classroom with rubber floor and new cabinets and countertops with abundant electrical outlets. And this is a typical classroom with new carpet and additional cabinetry and countertops and new sinks. Next slide. And just some before and after photos. Picture on the left is before, and after photos is the classroom interior. Kindergarten's ADA ramp with guardrail. Next slide. And this is a repurposed computer lab into a SDC classroom. And this is the same computer lab repurposed into SDC classroom. Next slide. So just some picture of the interior of the E-wing before photo and after photo with new carpet. Next slide. This is the new play structure by the D-wing for upper grades. Next slide. It's a widened driveway. It was very narrow for the cars to pass. ADA, code compliant ADA parking. Restored basketball courts. Right now, we have these full courts. So before it was portables there, and we restored basketball courts with new basketball. And just this is the project we also completed over the summer at the library, carpet replacement at Valimar and Cabrillo. So before photo and after photo, this is Valimar Library. And this is after photo for Ortega Library with new carpet. Also another photo for Ortega. Currently, we have these, the following projects are, construction is in progress. We have the Ortega new synthetic sports field and outdoor improvement. Currently, we started construction in June. We're ongoing. The courtyard between A wing and C wing has been 90% complete. The sports field, we're targeting for completion in January. Next slide. And right now we're also working with the community partners and the school on options of a permanent sports lining layout. So we're meeting with the PTO and various sports groups to obtain feedback, as well as from the turf vendor for constructability. Last year, we met with Paul and ISO. All will be taken into consideration to determine the final turf layout by end of September, and we'll keep the project on track. So this is just the previous design, some options we're working with the community partners. Next slide. This is just a construction progress photo over the summer for the courtyard at Ortega between A wing and the C wing and the D wing, C wing. And this is just some construction photos so that you can see that the upper deck, that's, if you remember, they have a severe grade change, has a hill. So the picture, the dirt area is where we're building a upper patio area with a retaining wall. So it will become an outdoor learning deck for the classrooms. Next slide. So this is the before and after photo for the courtyard. So a little outdoor learning area with seating and some outdoor benches. The turf is synthetic turf. So these are just some progress photos of the earthwork right now going on. So it's there, we're removing dirt, and you can see pile of mountains of dirt. They hauled off hundreds of truckloads of dirt in the last month. And now they are trenching for utilities, putting in these perforated pipes and connecting to the existing city 24-inch to 24-inch underground storm pipes. This is another project currently under construction. This is the Sunset Ridge kitchen addition and miscellaneous improvements. We started also in June of this year. and currently ongoing, and we expect to complete in December of this year. During the summer, the contractor completed the new window shades for the library, lunch shelter repainting because it was badly rusted, and a new window shade, acoustic panels for the E-wing hallway, and restroom ADA improvements. The kitchen addition and multi-purpose building roof brackets replacement is ongoing right now, and we're also discovered serious dry rot in structural posts that's under work to be replaced. So this is just a progress photo of the kitchen addition, and a completed photo for the outdoor lunch shelter repainting. This is the acoustical panel in the E-wing hallway and the hallway, because it has all hard surfaces, drywall wall and hard surface floor and hard ceiling. So it was extremely loud in the hallway. So these acoustical panels improve the acoustic tremendously. Like you can immediately feel a big difference, and they can also be used as taggable surfaces. Next slide. So these are the new motorized shades for the library, so they can darken their room for presentations, as well as they don't get any more glare from these upper windows. And these are the progress photo. They're replacing the roof brackets and some dry rot we discovered during construction and to be replaced. This is just an interior photo of the existing kitchen that's under work right now. Another project we completed this summer is the Ocean Shore D-Wing addition site work. We started construction in June 20 this year, and has been completed. The site work portion, as you can see, that the D-Wing and the plan is we're going to build 2 additional classrooms at the end of D-Wing to replace those portable classroom right now on site. So if you're familiar with the site has a lot of hills. So the area within the red lines are the hill that we need to dug out to make it flattened so we can make room to build the addition. So the project basically includes site demolition, site grading, new retaining wall, also at the school perimeter, new aluminum chain link fences and gates for the daycare portal as well, new storm drainage, because you're aware the school has a history of flooding, so we're improving that. Also, we rerouted existing underground internet conduit, both underground internet and then irrigation main has been disrupted during construction. Both have been restored. Next slide. So this is showing the yellow part. That's the D-Wing addition, and the enlarged site and the new fire lane and the retaining wall and the hill site work. So this is the finished picture right now. So we finished site, so get it ready for the D-Wing addition, which will start next summer. So we get the site ready. So this is just some pictures of the enlarged site, and that's the improved drainage. So these riprafs basically from when the stormwater coming out entering our site, the intent is to slow it down so it doesn't, although we rush so fast, it will flood our site. So these are these stormwater treatment. And this is a picture of the new aluminum fencing for the Ocean Shore School. Next slide. And chain link fences outside of the daycare. Also, last but not least, we have these projects we constructed in summer of 2022. We received a DSA certification for Sunset Ridge, Ortega, Cabrillo, and Ocean Shore. And we're starting the project closeout phases for ABL and Valimar. We're settle billing, change order negotiation with the contractor, and also we're going to file DSA paperwork. So the next I'm going to talk about the projects under work and upcoming. We have the Cabrillo School Daycare outdoor lighting, because Cabrillo, behind Cabrillo last summer, we cleared out all the bushes and made a usable area, but it didn't have any outdoor lighting. So it's, during the winter, the daycare site was kind of dark. So we're going to add outdoor lighting for the daycare. We're anticipating to start installation in October. The contractor just purchased the materials. And we also have the Ocean Shore D-Wing addition, the building addition part coming. right now, projects is getting ready to go out to bid, and with construction will start in summer of 2024. Our third project is the Ocean Shore School new modular bedroom. We went out to go out to bid back in May, but the feedback we got from bidder is that we bid out too early. They couldn't commit to a price a year from project start, so we'll rebid the projects next year. Another project, not yet. We have the Sunset Ridge new canopies. As you're aware, Sunset Ridge, the cover walkway is rusted beyond repair. So we will currently that project is under design, and will be demolished in the summer next year. And the new canopies and the school key entrances and exterior doors will be rebuilt. We anticipate to bid out the projects this fall. And the fifth project is the Sunset Ridge School Library enlargement and portable classroom placement. Right now it's under the design, and we anticipate construction start also in summer 2024. Sixth project, we have the campus-wide lockside replacement Ocean Shore District Office and the LMEC. Right now it's in drawing and specification stage. We just received initial plans from the vendor for the Ocean Shore School. The next step, we will review the lock set functions with the school. We anticipate to bid out the project in October for the Ocean Shore School. We also have under the works district office outdoor improvements and drainage repair. Currently it's under the design. The project got held up a little bit because there's a utility pipe. We didn't know what it was, and it got investigated, and we just figured out what it is. And because the ESS building only has one entrances, we also need to figure out how we can do the construction, because if we replace the concrete and how our staff can enter their building. So that's something we need to figure it out. Next slide. We're also just started the project to improve the street front landscape for the district office. We're in the process of bringing on board a landscape architect. This morning, the architect came and looked at the project and walked with me and George. The project will include new planting, irrigation system, and proper subgrade to prevent weeds. Next slide. So in next summer, we're also planning to repaint all of our schools. So we plan to bring on board either one painter or a few painters. We're still figuring out the details. But we need to work on the painting color schemes for all the sites to improve the overall aesthetics for all schools and the district office. Ideally, if we can reduce the amount of different color paint buckets a district M&O needs to carry. And the repainting work is scheduled to summer. A process will involve reviewing the color, also reviewing the color with the school sites. The next project we need to figure out is the improvements for the Cabrillo School. The initial 7.5 million assigned for the Cabrillo School gym back in 2019 is not enough in today's cost to build a gym. Cost estimate from the schematic design for the gym came back at $14 million. So I will need to work on an updated project list, establish the cost, and based on priorities in the master plan from 2019 and meeting with the school staff. We had a meeting with the school staff last year. We got some priority projects list from the staff themselves, and just combine those two factors and also review, and then we'll review the project with the school site and determine what the projects are for Cabrillo. And next on the planning board is we'll start a process to determine the type of new students, tables and desks for the classrooms district-wide, as well as Valimar's NPR really need new furniture. So we'll start that process to establish a standard, furniture standards for the district. So that will be all. Any questions?
I like all the visual pictures, before and afters. But some of the things that weren't in there were things that we can't see. Can you just explain some of the things that we can't see that were done with some of the bond money, like with the Wi-Fi, the computers?
Oh, the technology?
Yes, the technology.
Yeah, the technology. So I believe what has happened was all the tech all the infrastructure or the wiring in the wall has been updated to the latest Cat 6A. So it's a wideband and with can carry long distance and high speed. And also abundant data outlets has been provided. There's 4 data drops in the ceiling to accommodate Wi-Fi. And there's also additional data drops for the wall for teacher to plug in different devices. So that's technology infrastructure upgrade. And also what got completed is the district-wide outdoor Wi-Fi boxes as well. I don't know if they have been activated, but I think there are outdoor Wi-Fi boxes as well. And there are also security cameras installed in all the sites. And actually from the feedback I got from school, they loved it because like in recent instances, for example, at Valimar, they found some like smoking, pots like leftover on site, and they were able to go to the security camera footage, and they're not from our students; they're from outside the community. Some older people, was able to enter the school because the school is not entirely fenced off during after hours, and they left it there. So seems like that really helped improve the overall, knowledge and safety of the site.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Cece. That was 50-something pages long. That was a lot of work. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
There is one speaker.
Okay.
No, it's
Janelle Jones. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Janelle Jones, and I was the chair of the campaign for Measure O, the bond initiative 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. And I just wanted to speak on some concerns and questions that I have about the update. First off, at the time that I ran the campaign, I was a Pacifica School District parent. My child's now at Terra Nova. And I am currently a PSD employee I work at Ingrid B. Lacey as a professional, but at that time I was not working. So I can definitely say that running a campaign of this nature was a all-encompassing task. And I only have one child, and I was not working with a very supportive spouse. And I understand from your last special meeting that the board is considering floating another bond. And I would say that it will be very challenging to find people to run that with so many of the current bond measure improvements still pending. And in the case of the Cabrillo gym, not even started. I definitely have concerns. I also served on the facilities master plan committee. And one of our, not top, but like second tier projects was the Cabrillo gym, because it serves many purposes, not only just to add instructional space, but also to make the upper fields handicap accessible, as opposed to putting a ramp that wouldn't serve any other purpose but to make the upper fields handicap accessible. And knowing now that budget for that would be 14 million is very concerning in the span of just over 4 years, and probably less than 4 years since we set that as a priority with the with the facilities master committee, for that to almost have doubled in cost is quite alarming. I know things are much more expensive post-pandemic, but the fact that it's doubled is quite concerning. I also wanted to mention that I do see many things on CC's report that were not discussed during the facilities master plan, like the painting of all the schools and the canopy at Sunset Ridge and the outside decoration of the district office. And I just wondered how those had been added. Thank you.
Can CC comment on that? Maybe we can have CC reach out to Janelle with a phone call or an email. Would that be okay, Janelle? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. CC, so we'll give you that information so you can reach out to her.
All those projects are part of master.
Yeah.
They're all part of master, it's not added.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the first reading of board policy 3555, nutrition program compliance, March 2023, and this is information.
Yes, thank you. So the California School Boards Association does provide quarterly updates on board policies and regulations for school districts. They update us mostly on the current laws and changes in legislation. So what we're bringing forward to you are the first reading of our board policies from the March 2023 CSBA updates. For me, it's the child nutrition policy, and it was really just a very minor update that they suggested, and it's really clarifying what is prohibited discrimination. And I'll just read this one sentence. It includes alleged discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or disability. So it's very minor edits, and if the board agrees, we would move these forward onto consent at the next board meeting. Any questions on this one board policy update?
I don't have any. Does anybody else?
Thank you.
The motion.
Oh,
To move it to consent. We need a motion.
No, it's a.
I'm sorry, I'm reading them on.
I'll say, I'm sorry. Okay, so that will go on consent for the next meeting. And so now we can move on to the first reading of personnel board policy updates for March 2023.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Dr. Williams. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees review and discuss the proposed updates to the personnel board policies and administrative regulations. We have 3 personnel board policy in the areas of non-discrimination in employment policy and dismissal, suspension, disciplinary action policy. Changes are to reflect the new laws, Senate Bill 523 and Assembly Bill 2413. For example, Board Policy 4030, non-discrimination in employment policy, reflects new law, Senate Bill 523, which adds reproductive health decision-making as a form of prohibited discrimination and prohibits an employer from requiring an applicant or employee to disclose information relating to an employee's reproductive health decision-making. And that is also the first reading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. So moving on to the action items. A, public hearing textbooks, resolution 2023-9-13-A. And Will?
Yes, so this is a yearly thing we do with regards to our textbook. This is a hearing, a public hearing, and there was a public hearing notice that was posted 10 days ago or more than 10 days ago. regarding a resolution that assures that that we are providing instructional materials and pupil textbooks for all of our students in our school, that they're available. And so it is recommended that the Pacifica School District Board of Trustees approve the resolution 2023-09-13-A, which is a statement of insurance of pupil textbooks and instructional materials for the fiscal year of 2023-2024. You have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions? Do I have a motion to approve resolution number 2023-09-13A, statement of assurance for pupil textbook and instructional materials?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes.
And I'd like to request a 5-minute break for one of our board members. All of our board members. Approval, we're on B, action items, approval of the unaudited actuals for fiscal year 2022-23, and this is an action item. Josie?
Thank you. The full packet of the unaudited actuals is in the packet there attached to the board agenda. I'm just going to present a short presentation of the unaudited actuals. So basically, the unaudited actuals are the year-end financial reports. It reflects the actual revenue and expenditures for the year and reflects the ending fund balances, which are carried over to this current fiscal year. Board of Trustees are required to approve the unaudited actuals by September 15th each year. So when you compare the estimated actuals, those are the numbers that we presented to you in May with the adopted budget. They are oftentimes different than our final unaudited actuals on June 30th. And here are just a few of the reasons why. There's sometimes unanticipated revenue which is received. Revenue could be different than what is projected, and expenditure allocations for budgets may not be fully expended. Sometimes expenditures are budgeted, but then they're deferred to the next year, or sometimes you don't receive the supplies you ordered, or the contracted services don't occur by June 30th. So I want to give you just a brief overview of, for Pacifica, what are the differences between what we presented to you in May and what we're presenting now. So I just captured the big categories. I didn't capture every line item, but for example, state revenues is about $111,000 higher. And oftentimes our lottery projections do come in higher as the state controller issues the final fourth quarter lottery numbers late in the year. So that was the biggest item there. Our local revenues, those were also higher, and that was basically in the interest category, and it was higher. The county gave us our interest income in August, so it was long after we presented the estimated actuals. Mainly it was due because we received so much more COVID funding, learning loss funding, and the arts and music discretionary funds that we received. It was a little bit uncertain in May when he did his May revise as to what the governor might be cutting. And just to kind of recap that, when the state is in a difficult budget year, sometimes they start cutting, when they're projecting their budget for the next year, they start cutting the past year's budget. And Governor Newsom did project to cut our arts, music, and discretionary funds by 50% and our expanded learning funds. So it turns out he didn't cut it as much, and that would be some of the reasons why you see these types of variances. Unspent site supply funds. Now, these funds are allocated to school sites for the students that are attending school in a given fiscal year. We have historically had some carryover balances, and we did inform the school sites a couple years ago that we really needed to spend those funds in the current year, or we would recapture those funds into the general fund. So you can see the allocation was $683,000, and they used $408,000. $88,000 of that was even from the prior fiscal year. So these $274,000 worth of funds will be added to our ending fund balance to be carried forward to this year. An additional number was there was additional psych time. We were able to utilize some restricted COVID funding to pay for that. So that was taken out of the unrestricted general fund for a total increase in our ending fund balance of $586,000. Now, we did talk a lot about special education last year when we were doing our budget reports, and we had some variances, and fortunately now there is some savings. And I just kind of summarized it here for you. The county did have a pool of funds. It was called dispute resolution and early intervention. We did put in an application for reimbursement, and we were able to capture those funds, $192,000. We also received a revenue update from the county on May 31st, which was $350,000 higher than we anticipated. And then expenditures were less than budget, and I listed the main categories there for you. You have to encumber the total amount that you anticipate, and in contracted services, settlements, and non-public schools, those numbers were higher. So in total, we have $1.1 million that is added to our ending fund balance. This is a snapshot of our ending fund balance for this year, just on a total. You can see both unrestricted, restricted, and you can see that our reserve level is now at 11.9%. And I want to carry that forward to you for the multi-year, because this is very important that we look at the multi-year budget. You can see the first column is our unaudited actuals. And if you remember when we adopted our budget, we were in a position of deficit spending. So we kept those numbers in this multi-year. So taking the new numbers for our unaudited actuals and carrying them out for 3 years, we did project deficit spending, and we still do project deficit spending. And I want to just talk to you a little bit about why we have deficit spending. And that is really because we have lost 360 students since 2019. And when you look at that in our budget, our revenues are highly dependent on our students. We get about $11,000 per student. So if you take that into account, 360 students, that would be an additional $3 million of revenue. So that's where we are looking at most of our deficit spending is our revenues are not increasing. They're not keeping pace with our increase in expenditures, our operating costs, and the services that students need. Looking at our ACE, the first letter is attendance. And one of the things that we have experienced is we had a 95 to 96% attendance rate in 2019. We went down to 93% these last few years. And that is, again, it shows improved student achievement when we have higher attendance, but it also does show an increase in funding to the tune of about $900,000. So those are the big things I just kind of want to point out to you in this multi-year. Our work now is to start updating the 2023-2024 budget. And we have to look at our current staffing. We have to look at our health benefit costs. Unfortunately, we only budgeted 5% increase in health benefit costs, and it did go up by 11%. So for our district, our health benefit costs are over $4 million. That's an increase of over $450,000, that we hadn't anticipated. That's what 11% is correlated to. So, we are focused on attendance this year. It will help our students in performance, and it will also help our budget. We have to look at our other operational costs as well. We also have to look at our employee total compensation, not just health benefits, but we have not put a salary increase in our budget yet at this time. In addition, our auditors are coming shortly. The audit will be completed by December 2023 and presented to the board in January. So that's really just a snapshot of the full packet of the budget that you have before you tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions or take any comments that the trustees have.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? My comment would just be, it looks a little brighter than it did in May. So
yes,
that's really good. So this is an action item. So do we have a motion to approve the unaudited actuals for fiscal year 2022-23?
Motion to approve the unaudited actuals for fiscal year 2022-23.
I'll second.
Those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
All right, so now we're moving on to resolution 2023-9-13B, adoption of the GAN. And this is another action item from Josie.
Thank you. So every year, local government agencies, including school districts, have to adopt an annual GAN limit, which is really, the GAN limit intends to constrain year-to-year spending for government agencies and school districts. So it takes the changes in expenditures and your population, and it calculates the GAN limit. And based on these calculations, which is attached in your packet, Pacifica has not exceeded their GAN limit calculation for the 2022-23 school year, and we're not projected to, exceed our GAN limit for 23-24 either. Happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? No? Do I have a motion to approve the, I'm sorry, wrong one. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution number 2023-09-13B to adopt the GAN limit for the fiscal year 2022-23?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
And moving on to D, approval of facility rates revisions. This is also an action item, and the speaker's Josie.
Thank you. I'm just going to try to bring this up very quickly. We did talk about facility fee revisions in June, and then we also talked about them in August. And prior to that, the board did approve the board policies on the facility use fees. So this is just a quick summary of the actions we've taken so far. We reviewed board policies, the Civic Center Act. We reviewed countywide facility rates, and we also noted that Pacifica has the lowest rates in the county when it looks at facility use fees. We're charging a daily rate, while all other school districts are charging hourly. We proposed below average rates for Pacifica, and we did propose an implementation schedule of January 2024. We reviewed current district facility revenues and expenditures. So that was in June. And then we came back in August and we did another fee proposal presentation. And I'm trying to move these just so I can see the screen. In August, we included the new turf field for Ortega because we hadn't yet come up with those numbers. And in looking at the turf field, we looked at the county averages, and then we looked at Jefferson Union High School District. And we are proposing to match the hourly rate for Jefferson Union High School District, which is a 40% reduction in the normal rate that you would charge to outside users. We're also proposing for the Ortega field that we prorate it. So if you have different users using that field, because it is going to be a multi-use field, we could prorate it so that they aren't all charged that $40. It would be a shared cost. Based on our presentation, we did receive some feedback from the local sports groups, feeling like it wasn't affordable for them. It was too fast to change from a daily to an hourly. And based on, since they're a fundraising group, so we did slow down. I spent some time talking to the soccer group and the baseball group and came up with another presentation. It's not moving forward now. Let me see. Okay, let me go back. So after talking to them and looking at Facilitron, looking at our usage, we talked about a weekly cap, annual cap, hourly cap. What makes the most sense at this time, because we are making such a big change from daily to hourly, is to cap those local youth sports groups at $10,000 for their normal season. So a normal season is your games and your practices. And so I put up here on the screen, what did they spend the last 2 years? You can see that at Ortega, baseball spent $11,450, a year ago, and then this year it's been $8,450. So $10,000 cap would be very manageable for them, as it's not really more than they're already spending. And then for soccer, they use IBL, Oddstad, and Ortega. They did spend a lot in 1 year. It was $22,000, and then this past year it's under $10,000. So again, we feel $10,000 is a pretty generous cap. I did share this with both leagues prior to this board meeting, and I really didn't get that much feedback. The girls softball was very supportive. They haven't used our fields, but they have been using Cabrillo, but now they're just starting to use the other fields. So the other thing about the proposal is we would hope that the groups could release the time that they're not using so that other sports like flag football, lacrosse, any other sports could then jump in and use the field if they're not using it during their regular season. We're also proposing to revisit the rates in January of 2025. And then if I move forward, too far. I'm at the last slide here. So here is, that went back, sorry. Okay, so here is the proposed fee schedule that we're proposing. And you've seen this before in the last presentations. The only thing different here is we put Jefferson Union High School rates for the playing field and Jefferson Union High School rates for the turf field. The other thing I wanted to mention about the local youth sports groups is they're going to have tournaments. Historically, they have big tournaments where they invite outside cities to come and play. When they have those tournaments, they do charge tournament fees of about $500 per team. So when they have those tournaments, we are planning on charging the full rate for the usage during those weekends. So that's pretty much it. Not much has changed since the last presentation, aside from the proposed cap for the local youth sports groups. I'm happy to answer any questions or take any comments that the trustees have.
So the proposed cap is for local Pacifica youth sports, but aren't pretty much all of them local youth sports that are using the fields right now?
It is pretty much the AYSO.
Yeah.
And the Pacific American Little League and the Pacifica Girls Softball League. And then there's a Pacifica higher level soccer team.
And then the cap, meaning that once they reach 10,000, they don't have to pay any more after that, even though it's showing here they paid more 21, 22.
Yes, that is correct. And I'm not really sure why they paid more. It could have been that they had soccer camps and maybe tournaments or a higher use prior to COVID. But looking at the latest statistics, I thought $10,000 was.
I'm just a little concerned.
No, I hear you.
The issue is we have to maintain these fields and we're spending so much money. And then we get a lot of complaints about the field conditions. I'm a little concerned about the cap. That it may be too low just based on prior numbers. I'm okay with the cap. It's just, I want it to be more reasonable to what could be, like maybe based on usage. Like if you use it for this many days, there's a cap. But then if you go over those days, then we are still going to charge for it. I don't want it to be per season because per season could be, 40 games and it might be 20, it's the amount of use. I think it needs to be associated with the amount of time or, the time usage instead of the season. I think that's where I'm having an issue.
Thank you for bringing that up. And so if you look at this chart here, I did take the numbers that they have currently rented for this year from July 1st, 22 to November 17, 23. That is what they're currently projected in Facilitron to be paying at the $50 per day. And so the cap is taking that time period and capping it at 10,000. So if they rent more during that time period, it would be capped at 10,000. Then if they decide to have a camp outside of that time period or a tournament outside of that time period, they would be charged at the regular rates. Does that help? I know it does sound low, the cap sounds very low. And the other thing that I think might help is that we're just doing this for their one season this year. And
so it's just for this, the cap is only for 2023.
It's to be revisited, and it's for this season. So soccer season is part of the year and baseball is the other. And then in January of 2025, because it goes beyond 2024, then we can have a whole year to look at it. In January 2025, we would revisit the usage because we have it all recorded in Facilitron, look at the numbers and the cap, and then we could see if, where do we go from there? Do we increase the cap? Do we go back to the regular rate of hourly?
But that's revisiting it in 2025, not
January 25.
Right, not January 2024, which is I'm thinking about it is like I'm thinking about it yearly and you're saying season, which I think is
confusing.
Like if we're capping it this year, okay. If we're capping it till summer of next year, okay, but I feel like the revisiting should happen a little bit earlier than January 2025 because like I said, to me, the cap should be based on the amount of usage and not just the season, because the season is not clear how many times they're using the facilities.
Yes, that's a good point. So we could change the date to revisit. The one thing to point out is we're not proposing that these rates increase until January 2024.
Okay.
So we wouldn't start gathering that data until January. So the reason I chose January 2025, that we would have a whole year and capture both seasons, but I'm happy to revisit anytime that you would like if we want to change it to June 30th or any date that we can come back and revisit it at that time.
I want to revisit the cap earlier than later.
Okay. Do you have a date that we
probably, I guess soccer goes through the summer. I'm not sure. I'm just like the seasons are not clear for me because we have baseball and we have soccer and softball and maybe lacrosse. I don't know. I just want to make sure. I don't want the field usage to be a burden on our local teams, but we have to come to a point where we are getting some kind of compensation because it's costing us a lot of money. So
it is, yes.
That's my point. That's all.
I have a proposal. What about and on June 30th or the June meaning when we're closing out the whole year for us.
Yeah.
So we can see what everybody has
Yeah,
spent.
I'd rather revisit in June than January next year.
Okay, we can bring that, put that on the agenda item for June. The one information we won't have is the soccer season does run after that. For next year, because we're proposing January 2024. Soccer season runs August to November, like July, August to November.
So we can do a mid-season report.
Yes, we can do a mid-season report. That would be great.
That works.
So, any other questions or comments?
No, I don't have any ones yet. Okay, so this is an action item. Do we have a motion to approve the updated facility use fees effective January 24th? With the review in mid-season June 2024. I'll make a motion. What's a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're moving on to E, Teacher Induction Agreement 2023-24. And this is an action item. And Carla.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Dr. Williams. Tonight, it is recommended that the board approve the teacher induction agreement for San Mateo County Office of Education Teacher Induction Services for the 2023-2024 school year. Teacher induction has two major components. The CCTC approved induction program includes professional development, training, and the support provider, the coach. We have contracted with San Mateo County Office of Education over the last 8 years. $2,500 support provider and $2,750 materials and professional development per participating teacher, which equates to $5,250 per teacher. This school year, we have currently 11 teachers participating in the teacher induction, but we put 4 additional teachers on here because we do have 4 additional teachers that are waiting for test results. So if they get their test results back in time, they would be able to participate in the induction program. So that's why we put 11 to 15 teachers. 3 of these teachers are in their second year, and 8 teachers are in their first year. Total cost approximately is between $57,750 and $78,750 for the 2023-2024 school year. I'm happy to take any questions or any comments.
Anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the teacher induction agreement for San Mateo County Office of Education teacher induction services for the 2023-2024 school year?
A motion to approve.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, and we're moving on to F, Coordinator of Instructional Technology, Classified Management Job Description and Salary Schedule Update. And this is an action item. Dr. Torres.
Hello again. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the updated Classified Management Coordinator of Instructional Technology job description and corresponding salary schedule. We would like to reclassify the role of Coordinator of Instructional Technology to a classified management position. As a classified management position, we are able to have the option to hire a more diverse pool of candidates. A corresponding salary schedule has been updated to match the classified management salary schedule. Before this update, the Coordinator of Instructional Technology served in a certificated management position where the employee had both a teaching credential and an administrative credential. Let me know if you have any questions or comments.
Anybody? Questions? Comments? All right, so this is an action item. Do I have a motion to approve the updated Classified Management Coordinator of Instructional Technology job description and corresponding salary schedule?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
And G, hiring of the new Coordinator of Instructional Technology, an action item, Dr. Torres.
It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the hiring of Stan Krezniak as the Coordinator of Instructional Technology for the 2023-2024 school year. Stan was selected as the next Coordinator of Instructional Technology from a pool of highly qualified candidates. Stan has a Bachelor of Science in Management from Missouri State University and a Web Development Certificate from the University of California, Davis. Stan has been working in the Pacifica School District as an information technology technician since February of 2022 and has built a positive rapport with his colleagues and community. Stan has researched, planned, implemented, configured, operated, maintained, and supported the district-wide mobile device management infrastructure for staff and students. He also places a high priority on all aspects of cybersecurity. Currently, he has enrolled the district in Apple School Manager and completed federated authentication, strengthening online security for all users on our network. Additionally, he has experience as a real estate broker, and operations manager, and store manager. We are happy to welcome Stan to the new role of Coordinator of Instructional Technology in the Pacifica School District community. Let me know if you have any questions.
No questions. Anybody? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the hiring of Stan Krishniak as the Coordinator of Instructional Technology for the 2023-24 school year?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, and we're moving on to H, amendment to employment agreement for district superintendent. Action item, and that's me. So this amendment eliminates the reimbursement of cell phone expenses, currently $95 per month, and adds this amount to the monthly automobile allowance of $175 for a new total of $270 per month. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the amendment to the employment agreement for district superintendent between the Pacifica School District and Darnice Williams as attached?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
And then moving on to I, resolution 2023-09-13-C, board compensation for missed meetings. This is an action item. And it is recommended that the board approve resolution 2023-9-13C for board compensation missed meeting. Is there any questions?
No question.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the resolution 2023-09-13C for board compensation for missed meeting?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, and we're on to J, approval of Pacifica School District parents for SELPA Community Advisory Committee, and this is an action item. And John.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Dr. Williams. I am here to seek approval for Pacifica School District parent to be our representative on the SELPA Community Advisory Committee. That parent is Tara Knotts, who we are seeking approval for. Just give you a little bit of background about the Community Advisory Committee, the CAC. It is it's a committee that assists the SELPA in the SELPA governing board in developing the SELPA local plan, annual priorities for the SELPA, parent education, and other specified special education and related activities. This is actually a part of Ed Code. This committee is part of federal and state laws, and the roles and responsibilities are described in Ed Code. Our current CAC rep is Heather Burns, and she is stepping down, and we thank her for her service in the role over the past 2 years. And we are really happy that Tara Knotts has come forward and expressed interest in moving into the role. Tara is looking forward to working collaboratively with the SELPA parents and community members from other districts in San Mateo County, as well as Pacifica School District staff, to support students with special needs and their families. And Tara is also very involved with our CPAC, so this will be yet another duty that she takes over, which we are so thankful for. So first we will seek your approval, and then Tara is here and might want to say a few words.
virtually.
All right. Are there any questions? No questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve Tara Knotts as the Pacifica School District Representative for the San Mateo County Special Education Local Plan Area, or SELPA, Community Advisory Committee?
I'll motion to approve Tara Knox.
Now, second.
You there, Tara?
Yeah, I am. Thanks. Hi. Thank you for approving me as the parent representing our district at the CAC for the San Mateo SELPA. I look forward to being able to pass information from our families in our district to the CAC and back to us. I am also looking forward to hopefully interacting with other special education parents that might be in our neighboring districts. Seems like that's something that should ideally be happening already. Interestingly, I first learned about the existence of a SELPA back in 2017 when I'm pretty sure it was Karen Breslow at the SELPA who was talking at the youth summit that's held every year at IBL. And it was really one of the first times I ever heard someone talk out loud and in depth about struggling students. And I really felt like that was sort of a mental hand being extended to families like ours. And so I strive to be that to others. So far, I understand that the San Mateo CAC is planning on doing some parent ed series that match fairly well with our own CPACs seminars that are planned. And in fact, I'm almost wondering if our PSD CPAC isn't a model for at least a portion of what the CAC can mean to families out in the San Mateo County as a whole. It's, it really is a touch point to have families be able to hear these seminars. I hope that it continues to grow, not just for the CPAC, but also as a CAC. And of course, recognize there are other less personal and exciting parts of the CAC and the SELPA business as a whole. I'm eager to learn about them, but it's good to learn about them. I have recognized that even tiny changes in policies, either that's statewide or local, sometimes have a big impact on our families. And I hope that I can help with that dialogue so that the community understands what's going on and that we can talk back and forth between us about our concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay. Okay, that's it. Okay, so Board of Trustees, Superintendent's recap and future agenda items.
I don't have anything to recap.
I thought I had one recap. Oh, about the Mandarin. If we could reach out maybe to Pacifica Resource Center. Sometimes they have translators for students. We will. And thank you, Tara, for stepping up and helping Pacifica School District. Okay, no future agenda items. Okay, so the meeting will adjourn at 8:28.